Can the power of media be so potent that it can incite violence and shape societal perceptions, or even spark a genocide? Let's delve into this. Media, in its various forms, is a powerful tool. Its reach extends far and wide, shaping perceptions, inciting actions, and even redefining societies. The power of media lies in its ability to inform, influence, and ignite. It can build bridges, but it can also build barriers. It can promote peace, but it can also propagate hatred. One of the most striking examples of this destructive power is found in the heart of Africa, in the country of Rwanda. Here, a radio station named Radio Télévision Libre des Mille Collines, or RTLM, used its platform not for unity or enlightenment, but to spread hate speech and propaganda, inciting violence and playing a significant role in one of the most horrific genocides in history. An infamous example of this is the case of the Rwandan radio station, Radio Télévision Libre des Mille Collines. Established in 1993, RTLM started on a seemingly innocuous note. Birthed by supporters of the Hutu-dominated government, the radio station initially wore the mask of a platform for political discourse and entertainment. It provided a space for the exchange of ideas, a stage for local talents, and a conduit for cultural expression. The station's reach extended across Rwanda, touching every corner of the country, and it quickly became a household name. Yet, beneath this facade, something more sinister was brewing. RTLM began to shift its focus, subtly at first, then more overtly. The station's broadcast started to portray the Tutsi population as enemies of the state, using derogatory language and dehumanizing stereotypes. The political discourse became a discourse of hate, and the entertainment turned into a theater of fear. This marked the beginning of a dangerous transformation. However, it quickly devolved into a tool for spreading virulent propaganda against the Tutsi population. RTLM's broadcasts soon became a breeding ground for hate speech and inflammatory rhetoric. The station's programs were a toxic mix of misinformation, derogatory language, and dehumanizing stereotypes, all aimed at inciting hatred and violence against the Tutsi population. Imagine a radio station that doesn't just report the news but shapes it, manipulates it, and twists it to serve a sinister agenda. This was the reality of RTLM. The station's broadcasts were not merely passive transmissions of information, but active instruments of propaganda. They were designed to provoke, to instigate, and above all, to incite. In its broadcasts, RTLM portrayed Tutsis as enemies of the state, as dangerous outsiders threatening the very fabric of Rwandan society. It used derogatory language and dehumanizing stereotypes to paint a picture of Tutsis as less than human. This dehumanization was not accidental, but a calculated strategy to justify the violence that was to come. But RTLM didn't stop at dehumanization. It also indulged in conspiracy theories, spreading false information and exaggerated threats purportedly posed by the Tutsi population. It painted a picture of a country under siege, of a Hutu majority being oppressed and threatened by a Tutsi minority. This narrative of victimhood and danger was designed to manipulate public perception and incite fear and suspicion. These tactics were not new. They have been used by propagandists throughout history to justify violence and repression. But what made RTLM particularly dangerous was its reach. Its broadcasts could be heard across the country, spreading its message of hatred and fear to every corner of Rwanda. And so, day after day, night after night, RTLM pumped its poisonous rhetoric into the airwaves, warping the minds of its listeners, driving a wedge between Hutus and Tutsis, and laying the groundwork for the horrors that were to come. These broadcasts played a significant role in escalating ethnic tensions, creating a climate of fear and suspicion. And as we will see in the next scene, this climate of fear and suspicion would soon turn into a storm of violence and genocide. One of the most chilling aspects of RTLM's activities was its role in facilitating the logistical coordination of the genocide. It was a radio station turned accomplice, using its reach and influence to mobilize the machinery of mass murder. Every night the airwaves were filled with the sinister broadcasts of RTLM. Like a malevolent lullaby, the station would read out lists of names and addresses. These were not ordinary listings. They were essentially death warrants for Tutsis who were singled out for extermination. The radio station, under the guise of entertainment and information, was effectively guiding the hands of the killers, pointing them toward their next victims. These broadcasts were not random. They were calculated. They were part of a larger strategy to dehumanize and target the Tutsi population. The station's inflammatory language and dehumanizing stereotypes fueled existing tensions and amplified the climate of fear and suspicion that gripped the society. Imagine the terror of hearing your name or that of a loved one being read out on the radio, knowing that you have been singled out, that your life has been marked for termination. This was the horrifying reality for many Tutsis during the genocide, but RTLM didn't stop there. It employed a range of manipulative techniques to sway public opinion and mobilize support for the genocide. False information, conspiracy theories, and exaggerated threats purportedly posed by the Tutsi population were all part of the station's propaganda arsenal. By manipulating public perception, RTLM sought to justify and legitimize the violence unfolding across the country. The station also fostered a sense of solidarity among Hutu extremists. By framing the genocide as a patriotic duty, RTLM normalized and even celebrated acts of violence against Tutsis. It stripped away moral inhibitions, enabling mass atrocities to occur on an unprecedented scale. This was a direct incitement to violence, demonstrating the station's complicity in the genocide. It was a testament to the terrifying power of media, showing how it can be weaponized to mobilize hatred, fear, and ultimately genocide. Despite its role in inciting violence, RTLM's influence began to wane following the defeat of the genocidal regime. The winds of change began to blow through Rwanda in the mid-90s as the genocidal regime crumbled under the weight of its own atrocities. The defeat of the Hutu-led government by the Rwandan Patriotic Front, a Tutsi-led rebel group, marked a significant turning point. This shift in power signaled the beginning of the end for RTLM. The station, which had been a tool of the government, was now a symbol of a dark and bloody past. RTLM's broadcasts came to a halt in July 1994, symbolically marking the end of a horrific chapter. The station's founders, realizing the gravity of their actions and the potential repercussions, fled the country. They left behind an institution that had been instrumental in one of the most chilling episodes of human history. But the end of RTLM's broadcasts didn't mean an immediate end to the ethnic tensions it had helped to stir up. The new government under President Paul Kagame had the monumental task of unifying a deeply divided nation. Kagame's administration had to navigate a delicate balance of bringing the perpetrators of the genocide to justice, while also fostering an environment of reconciliation and unity. The founders of RTLM, now fugitives, were pursued by international courts for their role in the genocide. Their flight from justice underscored the gravity of their crimes and the impact of their propaganda machine. The chase for these individuals served as a stark reminder of the destructive power of media when wielded irresponsibly. The fall of RTLM marked the end of an era of unchecked hate speech and state-sanctioned violence. It was a turning point for Rwanda, a nation that had been torn apart by ethnic tensions. Yet it also served as a grim reminder of the power of media to manipulate, divide, and incite violence. While the station ceased to exist, its impact left a lasting scar on Rwanda's history. The fall of RTLM was not just the end of a radio station, but the beginning of a long and arduous journey towards healing and reconciliation for the people of Rwanda. The aftermath of the genocide saw RTLM's legacy continue to loom large over Rwandan society. The radio station's role in fomenting hatred and violence had cut deep, leaving scars that persist to this day. These aren't just physical scars, but deep psychological wounds that have been etched into the collective memory of the Rwandan people. RTLM's broadcasts were not merely echoes in the airwaves. They were a potent weapon of psychological warfare. The station's messages of hate and division seeped into the very fabric of Rwandan society, sowing seeds of mistrust and fear that germinated into violence. The station's rhetoric dehumanized the Tutsi population, making it easier for atrocities to occur. The impact of RTLM's propaganda wasn't confined to the period of the genocide. Its influence extended far beyond that, contributing to ongoing tensions between Hutus and Tutsis. The station's broadcasts had effectively poisoned the well of interethnic relations, making reconciliation a Herculean task. In the years following the genocide, efforts to promote healing and unity among Rwandans have been complicated by the lingering effects of RTLM's propaganda. The station's broadcasts had created a narrative of us versus them, a narrative that proved difficult to dismantle. Even today, the specter of RTLM continues to haunt Rwanda, a grim reminder of the country's darkest hour. But the story of RTLM also serves as a cautionary tale about the power of media. It shows us how media can be weaponized to spread hate and incite violence. It reminds us of the responsibility that comes with the power to shape public opinion. In the hands of those with malicious intent, media can become a tool for manipulation and control. It can be used to dehumanize and demonize, to create divisions and inflame tensions. But it can also be used to educate and inform, to foster understanding and promote peace. This highlights the enduring power of media in shaping perceptions and fueling conflict, a stark reminder of the potential for media to incite violence.